Welcome back to our channel. It is a truly wild and unpredictable day to dive into the absolute madness unfolding in Los Angeles because the drama we are witnessing right now is reaching levels of intensity that we have not seen in years. Let us just jump straight into the wreckage of these iconic fashion dynasties because things are getting so incredibly messy and there is just an overwhelming amount of chaos to unpack today. Look at Eric Forrester right now, just sitting there in that sprawling mansion, feeling like the entire world has crumbled beneath his feet because the woman he loves, the woman he brought back into his life and married after that whole torrid affair while he was still tied to Quinn, has just stabbed him in the back in the most profound way imaginable. He is feeling this deep, visceral betrayal that just eats at a man's soul because he just found out that Donna has known about Hope joining Logan for weeks, and she just sat there smiling and pouring coffee and acting like everything was perfectly fine while his entire legacy was being plotted against by her own family. It is just mind-blowing to think about the level of deception required to look your husband in the eye every single morning, knowing his biggest rival is poaching his top talent, and that talent happens to be her niece. He feels like a fool. A complete and utter fool who has been played by the very person who shares his bed and his life. And you really have to understand what Forrester Creations means to Eric, because this isn't just a company. This is his blood and sweat and tears spanning decades of his life that he built from the ground up with Stephanie. And now he is watching Katie and Bill Spencer use his own designs and parade Hope down a runway while his wife knew the whole time. He considers Donna's silence to be an act of treason, an actual aiding and abetting of the enemy to destroy the fashion empire he spent his entire life building and nurturing. Does she even care about his legacy, or is she just a Logan first and a Forrester second? Because that is the exact question burning in his mind right now as he looks at her tear-stained face. He can't even process the magnitude of the lie. The trust is gone, completely shattered into a million little pieces on the floor of the Forrester mansion, and he doesn't even know how to begin picking them up. Donna is just a wreck right now, crying and pleading and trying to explain that she was just stuck in the middle of this impossible situation because she loves her sisters and she loves her niece and she just wanted to keep the family peace. She is begging Eric to understand that she didn't want to be the one to drop this massive bomb and blow up the entire family dynamic, because she knew Brooke would go nuclear and she knew the fallout would be catastrophic for everyone involved. But is that really a valid excuse when you are married to the patriarch of the Forrester family and you are watching his rivals plot his ultimate downfall in secret? She thought she could just stay quiet and let things play out naturally, but not picking a side is actually picking a side. And she picked Logan whether she meant to or not. She is terrified, absolutely terrified that Eric is going to push her out of his life forever. And honestly, looking at the coldness in his eyes, he just might do exactly that. So what does Eric do when he is hurt and betrayed? He isolates himself, completely shutting out the world and shutting out Donna to focus every single ounce of his remaining energy on his couture collection. He is pouring all of his rage and his heartbreak and his deep humiliation into these sketches because he wants to retaliate against Logan in the only way he knows how, which is through fashion and art and absolute dominance on the runway. He is working himself to the bone, ignoring Donna's desperate pleas for a conversation, locking himself in the design room, because the only thing that makes sense to him right now is proving to the world that Eric Forrester is not a man you can just toss aside or outsmart. This isolation is incredibly dangerous, though. It is pushing their marriage to the absolute brink of an irreparable collapse, and you have to wonder if they can ever come back from this kind of emotional distance when the silence between them is louder than any shouting match could ever be. And let's just pause for a second and think about the absolute hypocrisy of Eric's anger right now, because wasn't it just a little while ago that Eric himself went over to Logan and asked Donna to lie for him and keep his secret from the rest of the family when he felt pushed out by Ridge. He literally asked his wife to cover for his own betrayal and his own secrets. And now he is furious that she covered for Hope in a very similar situation where family loyalties were tested. It makes you wonder if Eric is just projecting his own guilt or if he truly believes this is entirely different because Hope is young and Steffi is her boss. And it is a direct, calculated attack on the Hope for the Future brand that Forrester owns. But human emotions are messy, and Eric isn't thinking logically. He is just feeling the intense sting of being the last to know and being made to look like an oblivious idiot in front of the entire fashion press and the world. While Eric is having this massive personal crisis, the corporate side of Forrester Creations is turning into an absolute war zone because Carter Walton has just made a discovery that is going to change the entire trajectory of this storyline and plunge everyone into a legal nightmare. Carter is digging through the files and the employee contracts and the human resources paperwork, and he finds this deadly legal loophole in Hope's employment status that nobody else seemed to realize or pay attention to. Hope didn't actually resign from Forrester Creations. She only asked for a temporary leave of absence, which means she is still legally bound by her exclusive contract with the company. She never formally severed ties. She just walked out the door and signed a massive deal with Katie and Bill while technically still being an employee of Steffi and Ridge and subject to their corporate policies. It is a catastrophic oversight on Hope's part. Just a massive, unbelievable blunder that is going to cost her everything. You can only imagine the look of pure predatory triumph on Steffi Forrester's face when Carter brings this explosive information into her office, because this is the exact weapon she has been praying for ever since she watched Hope glide down that Logan runway wearing the Hope for the Future diamond. Steffi is absolutely rabid right now. She is out for blood, and she immediately orders Carter to use this evidence to launch a massive, aggressive lawsuit against House of Logan without a second thought. She wants to sue them for breach of contract, and she wants to sue them for intellectual property theft because, as far as Steffi is concerned, Hope took Forrester resources and Forrester brand recognition and handed it over to the enemy on a silver platter. Steffi is not just trying to win a fashion war, she is trying to obliterate the competition and make sure Hope pays the highest possible price for her sneaky betrayal. She is smiling that dangerous Steffi smirk. She is ready for war. Carter is sitting there mapping out this legal strategy, and it is brutal because the law is entirely on Forrester's side if Hope is still under an exclusive active contract that prohibits her from working for a direct competitor. Steffi is demanding immediate injunctions and cease and desist orders, and she wants to freeze every single asset and operation related to Hope's new line at Logan before they can even sell a single garment. They are going to argue that the very name Hope by Logan is a blatant violation of the Hope for the Future trademark, and that Deke Sharp's designs were conceptualized while Hope was still technically a Forrester employee, making them Forrester property. It is a legal bloodbath waiting to happen, and Steffi is ready to unleash the hounds because she has had it with the Logans, thinking they can just take whatever they want without any consequences or repercussions. She is drawing a line in the sand. A very deep, very expensive legal line that is going to shake Los Angeles to its core. This impending lawsuit threatens to completely paralyze House of Logan right as they are trying to get off the ground. And this puts Katie and Bill in a terrifying financial bind that they did not see coming. Bill Spencer might have bottomless pockets and a massive ego, but even he knows that a protracted legal battle over intellectual property can freeze a company's operations for years and bleed them dry in exorbitant legal fees. Katie took a massive leap of faith starting this company, and she thought she had outsmarted Brooke and Ridge by secretly poaching Hope, but now she is staring down the barrel of a lawsuit that could shut her doors permanently. Bill is going to be furious because he hates being cornered and he hates Ridge Forrester more than anything in the world. So, he is going to fight back with everything he has in his arsenal. But can they actually win against a watertight Forrester contract that Hope foolishly forgot to terminate. It is highly unlikely. And what about Hope? Because she is the one standing directly in the crosshairs of this entire legal mess, and she is facing the very real, terrifying possibility of being banned from working in the fashion industry for years. If a judge grants an injunction against her, she won't be able to design or promote or even associate her name with any fashion brand until the lawsuit is fully settled, which could take an absolute eternity in corporate litigation time. She thought she was making this bold, empowering move to step out of Steffi's shadow and prove her worth on her own terms, but instead she has walked right into a legal trap that could destroy her entire career and her reputation. She is already getting kicked out of her mother's house and facing Brooke's wrath, and now she might lose her livelihood and her passion too. She is panicking. Just absolute, pure, unadulterated panic setting in as she realizes the magnitude of her mistake. But let's really talk about Carter Walton, because he is caught in the most agonizing, impossible position right now, trapped between his fierce, unwavering loyalty to Forrester Creations and his personal relationships with the people involved in this mess. Carter is a man of the law, and he knows his job is to protect the company and its assets, but he also has a heart. And he knows that unleashing this vicious lawsuit is going to cause irreparable damage to families he cares deeply about. He is looking at Steffi's relentless drive to destroy Hope, and he has to wonder if this is really about business and protecting the brand, or if it is just a personal vendetta that has spiraled wildly out of control. He knows Katie, he respects Katie, and he knows that this lawsuit is going to crush her dreams and potentially ruin her financially. He is sweating. He is losing sleep over this moral dilemma. He is sick to his stomach. Carter is sitting in his office late at night, staring at these contracts and feeling the heavy, crushing weight of the world on his shoulders, because he is the one who has to file the papers and pull the trigger on this corporate war. He has always been the moral compass of Forrester Creations, the guy who tries to keep things professional and above board and fair, but Steffi is demanding that he play dirty and use every single legal loophole to ruin Hope's life, bankrupt Logan. He might try to talk Steffi down and suggest a settlement or some kind of financial compromise that allows everyone to walk away with their dignity. But Steffi is not in a compromising mood. She is in a destroying mood. Carter has to decide if he is going to be the ruthless corporate attack dog Steffi wants him to be, or if he is going to risk his own position and his career by pushing back against her blinding wrath. It is tearing him apart inside. The feud between these two iconic families is no longer just happening on the runway or in the CEO office or in the design rooms. It is moving straight into the cold, hard courtroom, and that changes the stakes entirely for everyone involved. When you bring lawyers and judges into a family feud, it stops being about feelings and hurt pride and starts being about cold, hard cash and legal precedents and public humiliation on a massive global scale. The fashion press is going to have an absolute field day with this, because it is the ultimate scandal. A daughter betraying her mother's company, a wife keeping secrets from her husband, a massive corporate espionage plot unfolding in real time for the world to consume. The cameras will be flashing outside the courthouse, and the legacy of both Forrester and Logan will be dragged through the mud and scrutinized by every single critic. Nobody truly wins in a war like this. Everyone just ends up bleeding. Meanwhile, Donna is just watching all of this happen and realizing with a sinking heart that her silence didn't protect anyone. It just delayed the inevitable explosion and made it 1,000 times worse when it finally detonated. She is sitting in that big, empty, beautiful house while Eric is at the office designing his revenge. And she has to be wondering if her marriage is already over and if she is going to be packing her bags soon. She loves Eric. She really does love him with all her heart, but she also knows that Eric demands absolute loyalty and respect, and she failed that test when it mattered most to him and his legacy. She might try to go to Katie and beg her to back down and cancel the line, or she might try to go to Hope and tell her to apologize and beg for mercy, but it is way too late for apologies now. The damage is done. The trust is broken beyond repair. The legal papers are being filed. And you really have to wonder how Brooke is going to react to this lawsuit because, on one hand, she is absolutely furious with Hope and Katie and wants them to face severe consequences for their betrayal. But on the other hand, she is watching Steffi try to legally destroy her daughter's entire future. Brooke is going to be torn in half because she hates what Hope did to Forrester and to her, but she also hates seeing Steffi wield this kind of terrifying power over her child's life and career. Will Brooke side with Ridge and Steffi and support the lawsuit because it protects the company she loves, or will her maternal instincts kick in and force her to defend Hope against Forrester's ruthless legal wrath? It is a psychological minefield for Brooke, and she is already at her breaking point. So this might just push her completely over the edge into a full breakdown. She is screaming. She is crying. She is losing her mind trying to navigate this nightmare. Bill Spencer is certainly not going to just sit back and let Carter Walton and Steffi Forrester dictate the terms of his new business venture. So, he is already calling his own team of ruthless, high-priced corporate lawyers to prepare for battle. Bill is going to look for any weakness in Forrester's armor, maybe digging up old contracts or threatening to expose some other dark corporate secret if Steffi doesn't back off and drop the suit. He thrives on this kind of conflict. He lives for the thrill of crushing his enemies and proving his dominance, but he has never faced a situation where the law is so clearly and undeniably not on his side. He is going to have to pull a massive rabbit out of a hat, or maybe pull a massive bribe out of his checkbook to get out of this one without losing millions. It is going to be explosive. Just absolute dynamite, ready to blow up the entire Los Angeles fashion scene. Hope is finally waking up to the harsh, brutal reality that actions have consequences, and that playing corporate games with Steffi Forrester is a very dangerous sport that she is not equipped to win. She thought she was being so clever, taking a leave of absence instead of quitting so she could keep her options open just in case things didn't work out. But that very safety net is what is strangling her now and choking the life out of her career. She has to look Liam in the eye and admit that she made a catastrophic miscalculation and that she might have just ruined her career and cost Katie millions of dollars in legal fees and lost revenue. The guilt is going to eat her alive because she dragged her brother Deke into this too, and now his beautiful designs might be locked in a legal vault forever, never to be seen by the public. She is trapped. She has nowhere to run and nobody to save her from this mess. We are looking at the absolute point of no return for these characters, because once you file a lawsuit of this magnitude, you can't just hug it out and go back to sharing holiday dinners and pretending everything is fine. The Forrester and Logan families are being ripped apart at the seams, and the collateral damage is going to be unprecedented, leaving scars that will last for generations to come. Arabandana's marriage is hanging by a thread. Carter's conscience is bleeding. Steffi is consumed by vengeance, and Hope is staring into the dark, terrifying abyss of a completely ruined career. This is what happens when blind ambition and deep secrecy collide in a world built on fragile egos and massive fortunes. And I, for one, cannot look away from this spectacular wreckage. It is a tragedy. A beautiful, messy, heartbreaking soap opera tragedy that is going to redefine everything we know about these families.